Hey, good morning. Yes, it is. It's Friday. You made it to the end, right? Just a couple more hours to go, right? So I thought today we'd talk about inventory controls and inventory management and a new way of looking at business, but not really. All right, stay tuned. Alrighty, so welcome back to the channel. My name is Eric, if you didn't already know it, and this is the weekday, Monday through Friday. Today is Friday for you guys that do 5 days a week. It's the end of the week. And today I thought would be a good time because I'm gradually doing this on my own. And that is, I don't know if you guys are paying any attention or not to what's coming out. And that is, manufacturers are not making parts for very long. They aren't. They're actually, they get back ordered and then discontinued before we even get a chance to get that piece of equipment broke in. So what does that mean for us as dealers and us as repair shops? Where do we play? What part do we play in all this? What part do the manufacturers want us to play in all this? I say little to none. I say they're trying to get rid of us. What do you say? I mean, case in point. It used to be if you could create a quality product that lasted the test of time, it would be passed down generational from one generation to the next. And I know people that still have their great grandfather's rear tine Troy built tiller. Those were a beast, right? But try to find parts for them. Same thing like the wheel horse tractor. Came with different attachments that you could use on the front of it, right? And it came with the mower, came with the snowblower, came with a push blade. There were so many things that you could do with something back then versus now. Now a lawnmower is a lawnmower. At the very most, it might be a snowblower as well. But we're getting away from that because we're trying to keep the cost down. See, that was a big swing. And the way I always look at it is the customer dictates the product. If the customer is looking for something cheap, throwaway, that they can afford and afford to lose, then the manufacturers are going to try to do just that for them, right? I mean, I still have a lot of customers that are in their 70s, late 60s, early 70s, even 80s, that have still got a riding lawnmower from back in its day. Case in point, I just had one customer get a hold of me the other day and was asking me to see if I could get a few parts for his Toro wheel horse rider lawnmower. And what I end up having to do is I end up having to scour the internet and tag buddies that are doing the new old stock to try to find these parts because they're not available anymore. And I think that, I give the CEOs of these companies more credit than they deserve, I guess. What I'm looking at is they're taking a beating on the parts. They used to make money on parts, right? They'd sell parts and they'd make a markup. And now they're finding with their parts that they're marking up to, let's say, $80 my cost. The Chinese plant that's producing their part is selling it on eBay for $19.95. So I think what they decided to do in the boardroom upstairs of all these major companies was screw them. If we can't make the money on the parts, we're not dealing with them. Or if we do, it's going to be a short window. And we're only going to make enough to cover warranty, right? That sound reasonable? Because outside of warranty, who are they going to sell the parts to? Most people have gone to convenience, and that is order online and ship to their door. Now you're going to say, well, you still got to have a repair guy put them on. No, you don't. What is this channel doing? This channel is showing you guys that want to learn how to do it. And I'll be honest with you, the channel was more geared towards shop owners, guys that were just starting out, do-it-yourselfers. But it's here for everybody, in all honesty. And that's the thing about a channel. You start out with one idea, and then it evolves to something bigger. And that's what I like about the channel. It's constantly evolving, right? So I think the manufacturers said, you know what? Since we're not going to make any money on these parts, and the Chinese and the companies from India that are undershooting us, we're just going to stop producing them. If we do have a run, it's going to be a short run. And that's just to maintain for a year or two while it's still under warranty. Once it's out of warranty, good luck on finding that part. Unless you go to eBay or Amazon and the Chinese seller has it. But aren't they just shooting themselves in the foot even more? If they're not making the parts, where do we get the parts? Because I think you're going to see a next step is going to be totally throwaway. There will be no parts. Manufacturing, the big manufacturing companies like John Deere, like Troy-Bill, all your MTD products, Cub Cadet included, Snapper, all these big manufacturing companies are going to get together, if they haven't already, and said to each other, we're screwing ourselves. We're saving money by shipping how we want a part to be made to China or India or Mexico, right? And that would have been all fine and good because for the first 8 or 10 years, they were enjoying the glory. They were basking in the profits. And they're still in profits. Let me tell you that much right now. Oh, yeah. That they're going to look at this and they're going to say, why even send anything to China, Mexico, or India in the first place? Why even make parts for our units? The only thing we need to do is because if you look at most things now, if you look at most pieces of equipment, when you get the tag, and a lot of people argue with me, they say, oh, it's made in the US of A. No, it's not. It's assembled in the US of A. There isn't one friggin' part made in the US of A. Every part is made somewhere in some other foreign country where you're getting child labor and cheap labor. But the manufacturers back 20, 25 years ago when I saw this taking place, they had to have known they were playing with the devil. It's like the devil and the fiddler's gold, They had to have known that. China wasn't our ally back then. Mexico sure in hell wasn't our ally. India's got such a huge population, they're still trying to feed everybody. So it kind of was the golden goose, right? They thought would keep laying the golden egg. And when the goose turned around and bit them, and started manufacturing the same parts or building sister plants identical twin to the specs that you gave them overseas. Exact same specs. And if steel, with it being made in Germany, a lot of companies overseas, you know what they did? They just took and tore it apart and put it back together and figured out what the parts were. You know, rear engineering something. You know, that's what they do. The U.S. is well known for that too. But we're more on stealth stuff than, rototilling your garden to rear engineer. So I think that's the next thing you're going to see if we haven't already started to see it. And that is going to be units that are made to last a couple of years. Throw them out. And that may be the battery phase. Doing away from gas and carburetors but when you switch over to battery, you still have, like on a mower deck, you still have spindles, right? You still have all this stuff to maintain. Where are you going to get the parts from? You think the landfills got filled when I was younger? Just look at them now. I mean, my son, case in point, they throw stuff in the garage and they get tired of it after a couple weeks and they throw it away. And I'm constantly digging through his garbage because he got good stuff. But what I'm doing the last couple of years now has been trying to reduce the amount of inventory that I'm carrying. Back when we were doing volumes, it wasn't uncommon to have $200,000 or $300,000 in inventory here. You would never know it from the outside, right? But we carried a lot, but we were selling a lot. It was stuff that was constantly being pulled and replaced, pulled and replaced. And I pay attention to numbers as well, and when I started seeing the numbers slowing down on the selling, I started slowing down on the replacing because, sometimes a part will phase out, right? But I didn't see just a part phasing out. I started seeing multiple parts. And when I started looking at other sellers, which I hardly ever did, I started seeing why. And that was eBay and Amazon getting in bed with the devil again, big corporate, because they wanted to get over into the Asian market, the India, Mexico not so much, but the Asian and India, yes. They wanted those markets. And what did they get out of it? Zilch. Chi wasn't going to let them in. Just kind of dangled that carrot and they fell for it every time, right? So they opened the doors and said, okay, now you can sell. And we had such strict controls on us because the big thing with the venues was they wanted to make it a safe place to shop. They wanted their customer, that's how they always said it to us. The one that buys from you on eBay is not your customer, it's our customer. You're dispensable. This is our customer, and I mean they would even terminate your account if they found you had slipped in a business card or 10% off your next if you came direct. A lot of them did it, and a few of them got caught, right? But when the Chinese came onto the market, they let that slide for them, but they still held us to a high standard. You might get one. See, China had thousands and now hundreds of thousands of accounts online on both venues, okay? And what they did in the beginning was, if they got their hands slapped or they got too many negatives on this seller's, they would dump it and just have that seller create another seller account. And that's why you don't see a lot of Chinese sellers with long accounts, because they can't keep them that long, because then they start getting negatives and neutrals and people lose faith in buying from them. So for what Amazon would have tossed you off in a heartbeat for, still will, they allow the Chinese to get away with murder on it. All because all the big techs, all the big giants still think that Chi is going to let them in bed with him. Ain't going to happen. Until you figure that out, it ain't going to happen. So I've been reducing the inventory as well. But what I'm finding now is that new old stock that I'm digging out of boxes that I forgot were even there is now worth twice as much. Twice as much. Because people can't find that old stock. Even used parts people are buying now. Because they can't find a new part. So for you shop owners that are looking for a way to get some extra income, have somebody clean the back room. Go through it. Get all the parts cleaned up, inventoried, and then put them online. Watch how fast they sell compared to what you're buying today from the manufacturer and putting out front. That stuff out back is a gold mine. So I'm going to start wrapping this up. But the big takeaway that bothers me the most is what used to be generational is now not even one generation. It's not even a tenth of a generation. People used to value stuff. Companies used to make a quality product. And they charged accordingly, yes. But they built a quality product. I mean, back then, you might spend $500 on a lawnmower that's still around today. But at the same token, you could buy a brand new GMC 4-wheel drive pickup, plain Jane, for less than $6,000. $500 lawnmower to $6,000 truck. Now, $60,000 truck, still a $5,000 to $1,000 lawnmower. The quality is not there anymore. Hopefully this next election is going to bring manufacturing back, because, a lot of people say, well, manufacturing just brings a lot of problems. If you can bring manufacturing into our community, into our town, that's going to raise the disposable income. That's going to employ more people. That's going to have more money flowing through our local banks, our local grocery stores, our local shops, right? People have got the money to spend because they have a job. And maybe that's what it's going to have to take. I constantly hear nobody wants to work. Well, stop giving shit away. Make them work for it. I did. It didn't hurt me any. But just give us some thought, Like I say, I'm getting older anyway, so I'm looking at retirement now instead of looking at trying to, expand up. Not interested in that anymore. I used to have a drive and passion for it. I still have the passion, but the drive. It's getting harder to do, right? And I want to hand the reins over to the next generation. And I want, the generation before me, they hand the reins over to us, they felt that we could handle it. But I'm not so sure about the next gen. Yes, there's some absolutely inspiring people, hardworking people. Yes, I agree with that. But let's be honest. Everybody isn't back in the workforce. Everybody isn't back working. And, Amos said it the other day when he said that if you're not getting a lot of work, if you're at $55 an hour, you may need to drop to 40 till you get up to enough work to where you're turning it away to start increasing how much you charge. And that's a great piece of wealth information. And in saying that, it's basically saying that when disposable incomes are down, instead of just giving up, why not take a lesser cut? Try to find some ways to chew some of the excess fat until things start getting better. There's always been these cycles with the economy, so I'm not worried about the economy. It does this. And he's right. And hopefully, the generation below me and my grandkids are willing to listen to such good information on how to be successful in life. You get what you give, but you also have to be giving in the right direction. So on that note, you guys have a great Friday. Enjoy your weekend. I'll be around somewhere this weekend. We've got the annual club picnic going on tomorrow, so I usually go out buy a couple meal tickets, but I don't stay because they don't start feeding until late in the day anyways. So on that note, we'll catch you later.